Welcome, Taurus, your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 25th of May for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share with you the big themes of the week ahead first. Then on screen, the adventure on Monday always provides an interesting backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what's upcoming around energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. As you come into this week, Taurus, your ruler Venus is emerging from a lovely connection to Mars in your sign. And that has given you the potential to draw some very good things to you. But right at the top of your chart is the influential, if tiny, energies of Pluto, which can be about evolution. Something's evolving in terms of your connection to the world. It can be very exciting, but also if there's something that's a bit stuck, that could come up quite strongly this week. There may be a financial matter that really needs to be discussed carefully by the time of the blue moon, which occurs at the end of the week, but that does link back to the passionate Mars in your sign, and that is going to be intriguing too. So on the screen is your event chart, and there's Mars in your zodiac sign for the next 5.5 weeks, really pushing you to strut your stuff with a great deal more self-assurance. And there's Venus, your ruler, emerging, separating from the exact sextile to Mars last week, but certainly giving your communications a very lovely vibe. Venus in that third house, but also an ability to tune into how things feel. So they're still in touch as we come into this week. So if you do need to connect to people, the chances are you can do so passionately, but also with a degree of delicacy too. So that's lovely. However, on Monday, we do have the Sun in a T square with the North Node and the South Node. So it's a T square. So they're both squaring back to the Sun. Now, the Sun's in the part of your chart for the next near to 4 weeks, which is asking you to use your mind very carefully around building up your resources, firming up your life foundations, and perhaps being very productive with the money you've got. And that linked to the North Node and the South Node just suggests if you are contemplating anything which goes against your deeper hunches, particularly around something more speculative, I would be very careful to make sure you are guided by your instincts. Now, ironically, Mars forges a lovely link with these guys. And Mars is saying, look, stay grounded this week, even if it means getting away from some of your responsibilities, getting into nature, maybe even going into the garden, planting things, doing some household chores, walking around in bare feet, maybe getting into nature, because that will connect you more to your soul purpose. But you know, by Tuesday, we have probably one of the most powerful days of the whole year because the aforementioned Pluto, right at the top of your chart, just kind of pushing you to really raise your profile, even if you might feel a bit reluctant about that, forges a magical link to the sun. And if you're doing really well with your own business, or you work in an organization where communication's good, but so is acknowledgement of your input, you can really feel that Tuesday in a very gratifying way. But what if there's a situation that feels highly charged, that your desire to manifest your individuality is not being received by someone? You feel blocked. There's someone who's playing power games with you. That could bring out that much more stubborn side of your nature. But I don't mean that in an unkind way. I mean it that it could arouse your fighting spirit, and you'd be absolutely right to push back on anyone who's being unkind. But just be aware if you do end up having a bit of a tete-a-tete in a personal relationship, as Venus moves forwards this week, she is coming into a right angle with Saturn. Now, Saturn squaring Venus suggests that maybe some hidden issues around a relationship could come out towards the end of this week. It might be about differences of opinion about who does, contributes, or earns what. Those things are rarely absolutely equal in any relationship, but it's very important to understand the kind of emotional care, for example, around children, or if there's older parents to consider, or the domestic load. All of these things can sometimes be ignored, and that's not fair. So there may be quite a serious conversation that happens towards the end of this week. But equally, if a relationship hasn't been working very well, and that Mars Pluto square brings into the open some hidden resentments, I think you really could have a need to be very, very careful about how you and the other person talk things through, because it could feel very tense indeed. Now, if you are wanting to emerge back into the world of romance, also Saturn in that 12th house squaring up with Venus could see you feel a bit tongue-tied, a bit inhibited. You may even start to sort of overthink things and wonder if you're good enough for the date you might be going on. Try not to do that. By the end of the week, the blue moon is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius energy is, for the most part, very easygoing in the sense it wants things in the open. And if there is something around a point of principle, and it is about who does, contributes, or who shares what, you may find yourself again, like earlier in the week, having to really stand up your viewpoint. But if that happens, it will be because you need to. Sometimes in life, we have to be very single-minded and stand up for our values. And that could be the story of this week. But if you are wanting to make progress, and particularly in a professional situation, there is an opportunity for you to use your drive, but also your brilliant ideas to good effect. I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Taurus. But just to say, you can order your personal horoscope and get three for the price of one. There used to be two, 30% off. I've slashed the price. Now you order your life roadmap report, but get your 12 months transit forecast and your draconic analysis absolutely free. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch that Mars square Pluto deep dive video I've done, please check it out. It's a crunch moment for where relationships are not so smooth. But if you've yet to watch your Mars in Taurus 6-week forecast, please check that out and understand how this can be such a dynamic period for you, particularly towards the end of June, which can be incredibly exciting for Taurus people. And if you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it would be an absolute pleasure. I work with people the world over. Please check out my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, you can do that below too. So to summarize, if you're involved in a work situation, either for yourself or for someone else, where there's good communication and you feel recognized and appreciated, I think this can be a week when you can just keep going and really feeling a great sense of progress and conviction. If, however, you worked somewhere where there's a line manager who's tends to micromanage things or is very oppressive, overbearing, it really could get your celestial goats, and you may find yourself finding it quite difficult not to speak your truth. But around any kind of relationship, things could get tender, particularly by Friday. But if there are any festering issues, the good thing is that they can come up and can be discussed. If you're entering the world of romance again, try to overcome any self-doubt, because you are enormously valuable. And Mars in your sign is definitely amping up your sex appeal for sure. When it comes to your everyday money, the collective in the sign of Gemini is saying, particularly in that T-square with the nodal axis. Don't risk finance on something you don't have a completely confident feeling about. However, if you're doing something that's groundbreaking, different, and fresh, there's a great opportunity for you. As far as energy is concerned, I think having Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house means there will be times over the next couple of years where you do need to just chill out, step back. And as I mentioned, Mars's lovely link with the North Node this week just encourages you to have some peaceful moments next to the earth, next to nature, by water, and that can be very healing for you and very recuperative too. Have a great week, Taurus. All the best, and see you again soon.